Help! Somebody call the sheriff! Tell him I shot him! Is this a kind of a joke? I've been trick-or-treating like death tonight. You don't know what death is. We started with the night he came home, and now it's more the night he came home. Halloween 2. Directed by Rick Rosenthal, once again stars Donald Pleasence and Jamie Lee Curtis reprising her role as Sam Loomis and Laurie Strode. And this time, Michael Myers is now played by Dick Warlock. John Carpenter returns doing the music, but is associated with Alan Howard. Both Carpenter and David Hill both co-wrote the script, and it's directed by Rick Rosenthal, who will go on to direct Halloween Resurrection, among other horror films. Especially this one film he pretty much disowned, and that would be the second Birds movie, The Birds 2 Lands In, where he goes by the name Alan Smithy. So, Halloween 2 picks up the offense of the first one where it left off after what happened when Laurie Strode was attacked by Michael Myers, and now Loomis shot Michael Myers. He's on the run again, and then Loomis tries to hunt him down, and Laurie gets into the hospital, and now Michael Myers has to find her and kill her just to finish the job after he already killed her friends from the first movie, such as PJ Soles' character, and as well as the Annie Brackett character. Sure. So, Halloween 2, my thoughts on this movie? Well, before I give you my thoughts on the film, here's the backstory. Both John Carter and Deborah Hill had no interest in wanting to do a sequel to Halloween, as they didn't think the first film ever set up for a sequel. It didn't need to be turned into a franchise, as it ended on a dark note. It did what it had to be told because it was a light in the bottle. It had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And saying that the audience should stick with the ending, that there's no need for it because the evil could still live on forever. But the studio at Universal gave him more money, and Carpenter had to drink 6-pack of beer, which he believed was an inferior script and bad choices to the film's storyline. And while the film takes place during the first movie's events, Jamie Lee Curtis' hair got shorter, so for the sake of continuity, she had to wear a wig. And as according to Deborah Hill in an interview of Fangoria magazine, the movie itself was originally going to be filmed in 3D, but it was like an expensive process, so they ended up not doing it at all. And also, to those who are big fans of the Wayne's World movies 1 and 2, Dana Carvey has a cameo in the movie. If you watch the movie closely and see the guy with a blue cap talking to a reporter or someone else, that's Dana Carvey when they're at the house where the sheriff gets mad at Sam Loomis saying that you let him out, you let him out. So yeah, that's Dana Carvey. The movie still came out around October 30th, 1981, where it received mixed and negative reviews by critics, but it was a box office hit by making $25.5 million and gets its $2.5 million budget. The film contains no Oscar or Razzie nominations, but it received 2 Saturn Award nominations for Best Horror Film and Best Actor for Donald Pleasence, but it lost to Harrison Ford for Raiders of the Lost Ark and another Universal movie, An American Werewolf in London. Halloween 2, I don't think it's that bad. I actually like Halloween 2. It's not as good as the first one, I will admit, but it's by no means a bad movie. I thought the story itself is what it is. It's well told as it needs to be. It's a picture where the first movie left off. It still takes place around Halloween time, the same Halloween night as the first movie. I thought that Michael Myers still is as great of a villain as he is in the first movie. And of course, Dick Warlock plays him, and not Nick Castle, and he does a really good job for playing Michael Myers. And I thought the filmmakers, along with Rick Rosenthal, they put their darnest to make it as faithful to the first movie as possible. So I thought Rick Rosenthal did a really good job directing the movie, so I give him props to it. And the cinematography by Dean Cundy is fantastic, as it still gives you a bit more of that Halloween vibe, and definitely, of course, this movie is faithful to the works of John Carpenter of what he did with the first movie. Not 100% perfect, but they made it as faithful as they can with the first movie. And I thought Jamie Lee Curtis, of course, she spent her time in the hospital, but I thought she still did a really good job as Laurie Strode, and really do feel for her, as well as you do feel for Donald Pleasence as Sam Loomis, as he's trying to find Michael Myers so he can finish the job. And I thought the last act in the movie is very well done. I think it's about as good as the last act of the first movie. And the music by John Carpenter with Alan Holdsworth, it's good, but I like the first one better because I like it sounds more traditional on the piano rather than the whole synthesizer. I'm not against the synthesizer, they sound really good, but I just prefer the classic piano sound from the first movie. And the pacing is very well done. Yes, unlike the first movie, this one will contain gore, which of course that's one of John Carpenter's reasons when he saw the film. Rick Rosal did not want any gore in Halloween 2. He wanted to be like the first movie, but when Carpenter saw some of the horror movies, especially when Friday 13 got popular, he decided to reshoot a certain amount of scenes in order to add the gore in. So that's not really a very strong move by John Carpenter. Definitely not. But if it had not been the gore, well, if you even been watching the TV cut without the gore, then maybe you would get a sense of what Rick Rosenthal was trying to go for. And the characters themselves are alright. I thought Lance Gadd does a really good job for what he was given to do, and some of the other actors did fine, but the characters are just not as interesting as the other actors from the first movie, the other characters, I mean. But nevertheless, the best actors in this film are mainly Donald Pleasence and Jamie Lee Curtis. They're both the greatest things about this movie is Halloween 2. Both Jamie Curtis and Donald Pleasence. They're as good as in the first movie, and they're both as good in the second movie. And yes, of course, in Halloween 2, they both share a scene together, whereas in the first one, they may be in the same scene together, but they're just shot separate frames. But this time, they're in frame together. And so, yeah, there's not much I can say about Halloween 2, but it's entertaining as always. It's a solid sequel. It's not 100% original, and I can understand people who say that maybe Halloween did not need a franchise. I can totally understand that, but nonetheless, I don't mind it. I don't mind a sequel to John Carpenter's classic Halloween movie. I like Halloween 2 for what it is. And it's not the first movie, but it's a solid movie. And I'm giving Halloween 2 a B. So, that's my review of Halloween 2, and hopefully you enjoy my review of Halloween 1 and 2, and hopefully you feel free to put your comments down below, and don't forget to subscribe button on both the first Halloween movie and the second Halloween movie. And let me know whether you like them or not. And now, just to conclude all this, before I see the new Halloween movie. Oh yeah, that's right, that's another thing. Even Halloween 2, of course, you do have the sister is Laurie Strode when she has a dream that realizes that Michael Myers is her brother. Which, that's fine with me. I don't mind Michael and Laurie being brothers and sisters. But the new one, of course, they're totally going to dish that. So to me, I'm fine with one or the other. So now I review John Carpenter's Halloween and Rick Rosenthal Halloween 2. We move on to what's considered to be the black sheep of the series as the night no one comes home. And that's coming up next. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. And here we go. See ya.